What's up, Applied English? Welcome to our planned virtual day for Friday the 3rd. It is a very quick video today, as we are just picking up where we left off on writing your own short stories. Just want to give a couple of reminders today. So, as always, if you haven't taken a moment to pray for your learning today, by all means pause this video and say a quick prayer. Otherwise, I will keep this one very short today. Alright, y'all, so as it says, you're watching the 1103 directions video. From here, we're just continuing to draft our short story and Word Online. So what we've been doing these past couple of days in class, just typing up the short story that you've been planning. I do want to give you this entire weekend to wrap up the typing. As it says, your short story is due in Schoology by the end of class on Monday. So what our class time Monday becomes is a time to edit your document. I do have a checklist that I'll walk you guys through in just a moment. But then I'll also review how to turn in your story during class on Monday, so we can wrap up stories and move on to something new. So inside of our lesson folder today, you do see two documents. There's our prompt and outline. If you do need a refresher on what we're looking for in your story, you can use that document. Otherwise, there is our revising and editing checklist. I will have a bunch of these printed off for Monday, but if you want to start revising, if you want to start proofreading your story today, you have the ability to do so. I just want to walk through some ideas here. So on the front side, the first page of this checklist, it's just leading you through just to make sure the story elements are there. So for instance, for plot, does your story begin with an exposition? Do you give us clear context? Who's your protagonist? What's your setting? Does your story have rising action that builds up to a climax? And then does your story end with a clear resolution, is something I asked for in the prompt. Character, do you have a well described and developed protagonist, a main character? Are there other relevant characters in your story? Are they described and developed well? And then do your interactions between characters make sense? If you do have, say, a conversation, is that making sense with those characters? Same thing with setting. Do you establish a clear place and time, preferably early on in your story? If your story does have a specific cultural context, are there clear cultural elements? So, for example, I saw that some of you in your outlines are planning for a lot of your characters to be African American. Are there clear elements in the story that let your readers know that they're coming from that African American background? Could be things like hair texture and color. Could be things like the way they talk in this story. Are there those clear cultural elements that spell that out? If your story has a specific culture in the first place. I know mine didn't, so to speak, but some of you are using one in your story. Lastly, for setting, if your story does have scene changes, do they transition smoothly? Is it clear if time is changing or location is changing? Then the last thing for your story is conflict or theme. Does your protagonist face and overcome conflict in the story, whether that's external or internal? And does your story's conflict develop a clear theme, especially towards the end of the story? Is there a clear message that we're supposed to learn? Editing-wise, I'm sure this is what a lot of you will be doing in class on Monday, checking for things like spelling and capitalization. Punctuation, do you have end marks, question marks for questions? Are there unnecessary commas that need to be removed? Did you use apostrophes to show possession, like we talked about with possessive nouns? And then if characters speak especially, do you have any quotes enclosed by quotation marks? By the way, I'm not going to be super picky with quotation mark rules in this because I haven't taught you much about quotation marks yet. But in general, when a character's speaking, we should put quotes inside of quotation marks. Sentence structure, do you have run-on sentences that need to be split or rephrased? Do you have any sentence fragments, incomplete sentences that don't make sense? And then the last thing is just some formatting reminders. Do you have your MLA heading and a title? 12-point Times New Roman font or similar? Double-spaced, that'll help you reach your 2 to 4 pages in length. By the way, I don't want you to freak out too much about that length. If you're a little under 2 pages, that's not a problem. I wanted to push you guys with that length, but I also want you to see that it's actually kind of hard to write a story shorter than 2 pages in length and still have it feel nice and complete. There is not a space for turning in your story just yet. I will open that up on Monday because I do want all of you to spend some time in proofreading on Monday. Until then, I've spoken enough. I want you to enjoy the process of typing this weekend. I'll catch you guys on Monday, and I look forward to reading your stories. Peace.